Hello, everyone, and welcome back to some Emmy talking. We're going to be talking about Emmys, TV shows. We're in the era of peak TV that is until the writer's strike stops all production. Next year will be an interesting Emmy season, but this year we have a plethora of amazing content, especially in the drama categories, which is what we're going to be talking about right now. Anthony, any thoughts before we head into the drama categories at the Emmys?
Yeah, I mean, between the pandemic, the strike, I feel like award season, this is just going to be the norm.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think what I'm interested with the drama categories is now that we're kind of coming out of the pandemic, because personally, I feel like the pandemic introduced us to a lot of shows or allowed us the
Hmm.
opportunity to catch up on a lot of shows. So now we're getting into a sort of normalcy where I'm interested which of the pandemic hits are lasting beyond the pandemic, because I do think the viewing habits was, somewhat dramatically different and what
Hmm.
the shows meant to us during that time. So like which shows are extending beyond that? I think looking at comedy, for instance, Ted Lasso seems to be a show that was very necessary during the pandemic. And I don't know if it's going to translate beyond that.
Or it just got worse.
So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll talk about that.
That's
Yeah.
a matter of opinion. But as far as the awards conversation goes, why it's hitting or something's not. The Crown, for instance, we're going to talk about this,
Yeah.
was a major winner. I mean, it shit's creeked its way, I think, to every single drama category for season four. I don't see
Once
a world
again,
where it
just got
hasn't for
worse.
season five. So
Yes,
I mean, listen, that's you could argue maybe that's the reason for all these depreciations of shows.
maybe.
But I do think that it says something about what we're interested in, the viewing habits, and also the fact that HBO really came to play this year. I think
They
it's one of
did.
their strongest
This is
years.
their category.
So yeah, we should maybe just jump into best drama series.
They could honestly have the top four here. I don't know if I say they will, but
I think they
we're
do. I really do think because they're
probably
all,
honestly.
and we'll talk about this. It's the variety. Not one of these shows feels like the rest. Even the two genre shows, like House of the Dragon
Yeah.
and Last of Us, are very different, and
I do
they're
think
extraordinary.
House of the Dragon is below those other three. I think Succession's obviously our number one. It's going to win. I don't think I would be surprised if anyone thought otherwise. Number two, I do actually have The Last of Us. I think that's stronger than The White Lotus. I think we aren't touching these categories today. We'll touch on him probably in our final predictions for nominations before the 12th of July coming up soon. I think The Last of Us will probably end up winning directing because Succession submitted three different episodes, and I think they're going to get all three in there. And no show has ever won directing when there's that many nominations. There's just one episode submission for The Last of Us, which is that well-renowned episode three with Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett. So I think it's pretty strong. And then I've got White Lotus, obviously. Um, Better Call Saul. Then I have Yellow Jackets. Then I have Andor. Then I have The Crown, and then I have House of the Dragon. And last, honestly, I think it'll still get in there. It just doesn't have a ton of buzz, and it is, I think, HBO's last priority. But this
Well,
isn't.
it's the one that doesn't need the prestige of the Emmy.
Oh
Game
no,
of Thrones
it's
is a strong brand, and it's
a
riding on
ratings
that
hit.
legacy very well. But I do think it was such a big deal when it aired. It brought back, I think, the fandom, and I think
Mhm.
the greatest strength about House of the Dragon is how distinct it is from Game of Thrones. It's a very different show. It feels different.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's to me watching it, it felt very mature, and I think it matured a lot of the themes of Game of Thrones, where Game of Thrones felt like it was really fantastic, and I will stand by that show. But there were moments that felt like engineered for like Andy Cohen-esque, like, oh my God, shocking moments,
yeah,
water cooler, prime water cooler moments, where I think House of Dragon understood the audience that it had. So maybe let's do something a little bit more, soft spoken. I feel at times. At least that was the vibe I got.
yeah.
It's maybe also just because we were focusing on one family, it maybe felt a little bit more intimate. Um, but I do think that it will get in. There is fans. Not that this is too much overlap, but it did win Best Drama Series at the Golden Globes.
Yes,
So
it did.
there is love for this show within the industry. But I do think the other shows, The White Lotus is obviously well regarded with the Emmys after
Yeah.
last year's performance, which feels like 5 years ago.
Can't believe that was
Uh,
last year. Yeah.
yeah, and I do agree with you with the directing. I think Last of Us could do very well there, and potentially very well in the guest actor
Oh,
category.
yes. Yeah. Agreed. But I feel like I'm honestly kind of scared because that top eight, I assume you have the same eight. It seems like everyone has that eight for drama series. It seems so secure that I feel like something has to happen where it's one of them doesn't get in, but I don't even know what it would be. Like Old Man, Bad Sisters, The Boys has been campaigned a lot, The Diplomat maybe, but none of those seem strong enough.
I mean, listen, some years you look at the Oscars for 2020 for the films of 2019, we were all like, something's going to surprise us. And no, Ford v
No,
Ferrari got in there, and that's what we were expecting. And it was the
it's
firm
true.
nine that, I feel like we get so shook by when we do get surprised that we expect it to happen all the time. But sometimes it's just the way this season
True.
works out, especially with the number of shows. You look at those other shows in contention, they don't have the most conversation being talked about them.
No,
So I think those eight really are in a class. Like it's not that we just filled eight because that's how many the Emmys have. I do think those would be the eight in conversation. It just works out
yeah.
that that's how many can fit in the category.
It's a very separate tier once you get past that eight. Um, Moving on to drama actress, six slots here. Clearly, number one, we have Sarah Snook for Succession, the best character on that show, the best performance of this past season, going to finally win her rightful Emmy. Yeah, I
I've
mean,
been burned with Amelia Clark before, so I can and Laura Linney, so I can never 100% say that.
I
Um,
just don't see who else it would be. I mean, Melanie Linsky is my number two, but I
that's not gonna happen.
that show's fallen off in the second season. Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, they're great in it, but I think they're too young to end up winning.
They could
Um,
win it on like down the road. I think
Down the road in like the
let
second season, maybe.
I mean, listen, we're Sarah Snook. Like we're finally getting to Sarah Snook. We should have
Yeah,
gotten to Sarah Snook for season two, to be honest.
yeah, that was her
Like
season. Yeah.
I think give Bella some time, and they'll get
Based
there.
on the second game, that's a much bigger role. It was more of like a co-lead sharing in this season. The
Exactly.
impression I get in the
I
second game, it's very much Ellie's story.
I think Pedro Pascal, we'll talk about actor, has a better shot for this season, and I think
Hmm.
it's kind of like it's the Star Wars thing of like in this episode we're gonna feature Han, and the next one we're
Yeah,
gonna feature
exactly.
Luke. Like that's kind of how I'm getting the sense of how The Last of Us is gonna position itself.
Yeah. Then I have Imelda Staunton for The Crown playing Queen Elizabeth. I'm pretty sure every actor who's played Queen Elizabeth on that show has gotten nominated. I doubt it'll stop.
For every season too.
Or, yeah, for every
I
season.
think
Yeah.
Olivia Colman got in twice. Claire Foy won on her second one. As
Yeah,
did they tend to award you on your way out of The Crown.
they do. So she'll have next season to win, which I think is the final one. Then it's tricky for the last two spots. Elizabeth Moss has only missed once for Handmaid's Tale, but I haven't heard like anything about this season, so I'm not super confident in that. So I'm gonna say Emma Darcy gets in for House of the Dragon in my fifth spot. I know lots of people are wishy-washy on that, but I think, especially since they're only in half of the season, but I think their performance is pretty undeniable. I think by the time you get to the end of that show, I mean, the final shot is on them. It's very powerful. They very
I
much
think
carried the second half of
the
the season.
I think the apprehension with Emma Darcy is just that House of Dragon came out so long ago. If
Hmm.
House of the Dragon was like where the idol was, like
Yeah.
right now, like following Succession, I
Oh
think that
God, the idol.
we would probably be more confident in Emma Darcy.
Yeah.
Because I think the other thing too is, Ben Mendelsohn was talking about this because he's of course doing Secret Invasion with Amelia Clark and how much he was, a little scared to act alongside her. I do think that, and we have to acknowledge with House of the Dragon, I do think the shadow of Daenerys is felt throughout this entire show and what that
Yeah.
performance, that character, and she is the Daenerys of this show. So I do think there is respect for the role that she's playing. And I do think the fact that she was able to distinguish herself from Amelia Clark and also from Millie Alcock, who I think started the show off so well playing the younger
Yes.
version of Mira. Like Emma Darcy did a exceptional job. And I do think especially given how many acting nods that Game of Thrones season 8 got. I
Hmm.
do think they'll remember them. So
I think so.
I will put them in there.
Yeah. And then my last spot, I could say Elizabeth Moss, but that's just going with the top six, and I never really like doing that. So I'm gonna say Carrie Russell for The Diplomat
They
because that was.
they do have an IOU because they gave it to Matthew Reese for the Americans and they didn't give it to
Mhm.
Kerry Russell for the final season. That was when Claire Foy won for the season
Yeah.
2 crown. So I could see it. It was a popular show and she's definitely the person behind
She's the
it.
face of it.
When Elizabeth Moss missed for Handmaids, do you know if it was for the previous season? Like the whatever
I think
season
she got in last season, but I think it was the season before that. I forget.
like
I don't
season
watch the show.
4?
I think it was season 4, but I know she's missed once and she's gotten it all the other times.
The only other one I would maybe say look out for is Sharon Horgan, because I do think there's a lot
Mhm.
of respect for her as a character actor who has kind of given this chance for like a leading lady. And I also think I
She's also a
believe,
showrunner on the show,
yeah,
I
she's
think.
like a major force behind the show creatively. So I could
Yeah.
see them rewarding her. It's a fresh talent. And also it could be a way to give Bat Sister something, because I do think it's on the radar. Um,
Mhm.
and like maybe it's like the type of thing that like she gets in because this was kind of maybe like perceived as her baby. And then like season
Yeah.
2, maybe the show can really pick up steam and get
Build
in
up.
other places.
Yeah.
So maybe I would put Sharon Horgan in over Elizabeth Moss, because I do think Handmaids, it's like it's it's
Especially this last season, I have not heard a single thing
yeah,
about it.
to be honest, I think some people forget that it's on.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it ended last season, but it didn't. So,
so
but yeah, other honorable mentions. Helen Mirren could get name checked for 1923, but I don't think they really like or watch those shows, to be honest. And Sophie Nalisi, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, from Yellow Jackets. Second season, not very good. Her performance in this second season, especially in that one episode, I forget which one it is, 5 or 6, regarding her baby and everything, an incredible performance. If I were to pick her, she'd probably be like my second or third favorite. Incredible performance, but I just don't think that's gonna happen. Sadly, I don't think we're gonna have two Shaunas in one category. So that's that. Drama actor is an interesting situation. We've got 3 Succession boys contending here. Um, I know lots of people think Kieran Culkin can win for this season. I still think it's Kendall's show. Jeremy Strong is, I think, the face of the show in many ways, him and Brian Cox. But Brian Cox has a lot less to do this season, so I think Jeremy Strong is the clear number one to win. I think he's going
I
to do
think
it
he's the
again.
clear number one of the Succession boys, but I don't know if he's my
My
clear number.
number my number 2 is Pedro Pascal from The Last of Us, which if all 3 of them get in, which spoiler alert, I do have all 3 of them in here, and they do
All three
split
Succession boys,
votes.
you mean?
Yeah, and they do split votes, then I think Pedro Pascal is the one to benefit from that.
He, with all due respect to Bella Ramsey, because they're incredible and
Mhm.
already amassed an incredible career, but this was the Pedro Pascal show. Like this, I think
Oh
was
yeah.
when we finally saw him as like an actor. Like he wasn't like a supporting character on like Game of Thrones or like Narcos. You know,
Mhm.
it, it wasn't Mandalorian where like we really don't get a chance to like see him act. Like
Yeah.
this was the show that I think defined him the most out of his whole career. I think
Mhm.
that the Succession Boys will split the vote as they've had in this category last year, and that's what happened. That's how I believe Lee Jung
Lee
Jae
Jung Jae.
for
Yeah.
Squid Game was able to go through, and that necessarily
Huge genre hit show.
yeah. So I feel like Pedro Pascal, man, it's a way to give The Last of Us something in like one of the top like the one of the buzzier categories. You know,
Yeah.
directing of course is wonderful, but it's not one of the ones that like they save for the end of the night. And I think
No.
I because I do think that when you look at The Last of Us, like Pedro Pascal, I think did get a lot of people to tune in. You know, especially
Oh
people who
yeah.
didn't play the video games. So I think that Jeremy Strong's already won. Brian Cox unfortunately doesn't have a lot to do this season. I think people will are not they're not it would be very bizarre for him to win off of that.
Mhm.
Um and then Kieran Culkin, I
He
just
should have. He would have won in supporting, but yeah.
I think he would have won in supporting. I think the
Actually,
terrible
no.
thing about Roman is that he's too good. I think he turns off enough people that he will not win this category.
He's
It's
very
almost like the
unlikable.
male version of the Wendy Bird Daenerys thing of like
Yeah.
people don't like the character, so they don't want to give him the win. I know people love Roman, but I think he pisses off enough people
He's
that
the most despicable of the main kids by
exactly. So I
far.
think that
By
I
far.
honestly think that hurts him a little. He's too good. He's too good at
Yeah,
his
he is. He is. But yeah,
Pedro is
so
warm and comforting and
he is.
fatherly.
Even in that show, even though he's cold, there's still a fatherly aspect to it. And if
Yeah.
he picks the right episode, I think I forget which one where he has his breakdown to submit. I think that would be very good. But everyone's already seen the show though. So but yeah, Jeremy Strong, Pedro Pascal, Kieran Culkin. Then I've got Bob Odenkirk, who sadly I don't think will ever win for this show, obviously. I mean, the last season came out forever ago. So sadly not, but yeah, that's all I can really say. Sadly not. Then it gets a little tricky. Then Brian Cox could miss, so I'm gonna put him in my number 6 spot. But in my 5th spot, do I go with Jeff Bridges? Do I go with Patty Considine? Do I go with Diego Luna? Um,
I
I
don't think
am
Luna.
going.
I mean, maybe he'll surprise, but I don't know.
I
I
do
think
you think it's Jeff
Mandalorian.
Bridges?
I mean,
Even though I don't think
how
that show's
hot are
gonna
they
get
on
anything
Masked Dragon?
else.
Because I think it should be Patty Considine.
Oh,
I
it
think the
should be
performance is
easily.
incredible, and I feel like sometimes we don't think they'll do like the right thing, and they do.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Especially if they're watching the episode and they have to submit episode three. That's got to be the episode. Episodes three
For
are
Patty,
for Patty. It's the one
I
the
would think it'd
episode
be
four
episode
has to be.
8.
I mean, they could submit anything, honestly.
They
I mean,
could.
it's a great performance.
It is.
But yeah, I think that I don't know. I don't see Andor really materializing. I think that the same way that
I think it
being
will.
part of Marvel hurt Angela Bassett, I think being a part of Star Wars and Disney, I don't think people look at Disney things in this regard. I mean,
But
even
I don't
Pixar
think people look at
is
this as a Disney thing. I think it's regarded much higher.
yeah, but I don't know. It's still a part of that family. It's whenever I see it, I don't know. It's like I don't have that thing with Last of Us, even though that was a previous IP. When I look at Andor, it's something. There's always an alarm that goes off in my head, and I'm like, if it's between him and Patty Considine and Jeff Bridges, like I don't know. I feel like the length, the distance between Considine and Bridges and Andor and Luna is stark.
Yeah,
So
honestly, maybe should I kick out Brian Cox? Because this is worth mentioning when voting this year. It's a limited ballot. So, unlike before, where you could write down as many names as you want and you could write down all the Succession boys, you can only write down as many spots as there are here, which is 6. So, are they really going to spend half of their thing on Succession, include Brian Cox, when there may be other performances like Diego Luna, like Constantine, that they want to shout out more
well,
from other shows?
I mean, look at how many Game of Thrones people got in on the last. It's like a
That was
final
on a
roll
different
call.
voting system. They could just write them all down.
I understand, but it's this final roll call of like respect for like look at what you accomplished. And I think that, Brian Cox was arguably the star of Succession when this thing started. It made a
Yeah,
bunch of
he
stars.
was. Yeah.
I mean, on like the most high profile thing that Jeremy Strong did before this was The Big Short. Matthew McFadden was Pride and Prejudice like a decade ago. So like
Hmm.
I think Brian Cox is looked at the same way that Jamie Lee Curtis is looked at with Everything Everywhere All at Once. So I don't see a
Yeah.
world where they don't. I mean, maybe just because of screen time, people will say that. But I also think that, I mean, the reason why episode three of Succession season
That's
4 hits
episode
so
3.
much is because of Brian Cox and the legacy of that character. I mean, he is one of the
Yeah.
greatest characters of the 21st century in any medium. So I don't see a world where he gets dropped off for like the old man. Like that logic doesn't
No,
really
I'm not
work.
gonna put Jeff Bridges in because I think if Jeff Bridges gets in, that's the only thing for the show. I could see it happening. I'm just not gonna go there right now. I'll say I'll keep Brian Cox at number 6, and I guess I'll put Patty in at number 5. Diego Luna was very close though. Okay, good on that. Okay, drama supporting actress. Jennifer Coolidge is gonna win. Pretty simple. No big competition now that Sarah Snook has gone. Lead actress. So Jennifer Coolidge, Rhea Seehorn, Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown. She's playing Princess Diana. Uh, Aubrey Plaza for The White Lotus. Um, I'll say J. Smith Cameron will get in for Succession, even though she didn't get sadly much to do at all this season. One of the sad things about the season. Uh, I'll say Christina Ricci for Yellow Jackets, still a standout on that show despite the quality declining. Megan Fahey for The White Lotus, my personal favorite White Lotus performance
God,
of
yeah.
this past season, the most layered, complex performance. I would honestly vote for her to win, but I'll be happy with the nomination.
We're
I'll
of
be happy
sound
with that.
mind right now. Totally, totally, totally. If
There
she
we go.
doesn't get in, I
And
will be a little disappointed.
I'll be very upset. And how many was that? 7? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got one spot left. Who am I going to give it to? I'm honestly tempted to give it to Justine Loop for Succession, who plays Willa, but I don't know if I'll go that far. I don't know if it'll be Leslie Manville for The Crown. maybe. It definitely won't be Carol Burnett for Better Call Saul, I don't think.
I mean, Helena Bonham Carter got in both times for playing the same role, and I
She
mean, Leslie
did.
Manville did surprise with Phantom Thread, getting in there for supporting actress. So I feel
It's
like,
possible.
and did Vanessa Kirby get it? I feel like, but Vanessa Kirby, that was what introduced us to her. Where like Leslie
Hmm.
Manville, everybody knows. So I feel like it's not a bad bet to go Manville. I mean, listen, we don't think The Crown is going to be
Yeah.
as successful with season 5 as it was with season 4, but it still obviously has its
And it's
fans within
still acting
the
fodder playing all
industry.
these
Yeah.
real life people.
So
I'm between Leslie Manville or Olivia Cook for House of the Dragon.
I'll go with that.
Um, I'll say Olivia Cook. I'll go with the one I want to happen more.
That's a dangerous game, my friend.
It
Hope
is. It is. Well, it'll probably change come final predictions, but I'll stick with Olivia for now. Solid 8 there. Any other thoughts, honorable mentions?
Megan Fahey. I thought she was brilliant. It's
Should
just
win.
one of the most layered characters. Like it's just
Hmm.
astounding. Especially because like I love Jennifer Coolidge, but like she already won for this show and this character. So like
Yeah,
I mean she would be the number one. I would just Megan Fahey the whole way down.
I
It
would
was
as well.
discover a talent like that. It's exceptional, just wonderful.
It was incredible. Drama supporting actor, where I mentioned I think Kieran Culkin might have won here before. Double, they're thinking about it again. I don't know. I think Matthew McFadden, given how the season ends, spoiler, he wins. Um, I don't know. I think it would be a very interesting race if Kieran Culkin went here. It'd definitely be between them. But now Matthew McFadden just is easily winning here. He's got it in the bag. So he's an easy number one. After that, I struggle, to be honest. I might Giancarlo is ranked number 2 for Better Call Saul. I don't watch the show, but from what I've heard, it's not a huge role this past season. But they'll probably name check him. I'm not going to put him at number 2. Uh, I'll say F. Murray Abraham from White Lotus is the number 2. Then I'll do a triple succession run with Alan Ruck, Alexander Skarsgård, and Nicholas Braun. Then I'll say Matt Smith for House of the Dragon. Then I'll say Giancarlo for Better Call Saul. Then 2 more spots. I'll say tricky. I don't think I'm gonna go John Lithgow for Old Man. Then I'll say Jonathan Pryce for The Crown. And hmm, last spot, tricky.
If
I'll
you have Bridges
say
in, then I would say go Lithgow. But if you don't have Bridges, I don't see.
I don't have Bridges in, so I don't think he would then. But Jonathan Lithgow has been nominated for so many Emmys.
Jonathan.
I'll say he's my number 8, even though Bridges doesn't get in because he's won like hasn't he won like 5 Emmys or something? They love him.
Last one he won, I think, was for Churchill for The Crown. So,
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's the I'm not this is the one I'm least confident in, but that's what I've got. How about you?
yeah, I think that this is definitely Matthew McFadden's to run away with. I mean, it's funny that I think the show ended up being about Tom as much as it is about any of the other characters and his slow
Yeah.
rise. I think, kind of starting with season 3. Um, so yeah, I think that he definitely will get in there. I'm not confident about like this is the one where I would show more fear of like the Succession just because like I don't know if it can get half the category.
I just
Um,
don't know what else I would put in here. Like
that's what I
maybe
think
another White Lotus person could get in, like Theo James or something,
maybe.
but I don't know.
So we'll see. But like I could see Michael Imperioli get in potentially
Maybe, yeah.
eighth spot, you know. Um,
Elijah Wood was a big role in Yellow Jacket season 2 and was a standout, but I don't think that show's gonna overperform what the first season did.
so but so I think that the ones I have definitely getting in there are Matthew McFadden, um, F. Murray Abraham, Alan Ruck, and then Nicholas Braun because he's gotten in I think every year for this character. And then the other ones is just what are we feeling? What's the mood? Does the old
Mhm.
man overperform? Does it not? We have to wait and see.
Yeah, yeah. And then quickly touching on the guest categories, I think Harriet Walter is going to win in Drama Guest Actress for Succession. And I think the nominees will be along with Melanie Linsky for Last of Us, Anna Torv for Last of Us, Fiona Shaw for Andor, Cherry Jones for Succession. Actually, no, not Cherry Jones. Hiem Mabas for Succession and Storm Reed for The Last of Us. That's what I'll say.
Is this supporting or guest?
This is guest.
Okay.
And then guest actor. Did you have a thought on guest actress?
No, those all sound good.
Okay.
Every
And
dad Harriet Walter.
do not know. And then guest actor, I do think is where Nick Offerman will win for Last of Us, along with Murray Bartlett, James Cromwell from Succession. I think Andy Serkis from Andor, Bryan Cranston, Better Call Saul, and I'm going to be hopeful and say Lamar Johnson for The Last of Us, even though he's low down in the odds. I think he was a standout on that show. This time we're talking about the comedy stuff, all the funny shows and all the shows that are in the comedy categories, even though they're not very funny, all that stuff. We've got talking about here.
We're not even like 10 seconds in, and the shade is already coming out.
It's true. It's true for most.
It's
for
a matter of an opinion.
I guess, but
I didn't even
I
finish
still
the shows that you're talking about, and I will still defend. There are some fans out there.
yes. Well, let's talk about those shows right now. Do you want to just get right into it with best comedy series?
You know who we are. Let's just get in.
You do. You're in it already. I think number one, I've got Abbott Elementary. I think Ted Lasso has lost its hype. I don't think it's going to win. Still my number two, because I think the Emmys could still just be sad voting body and go with the basic boring choice.
No,
But I don't think
I don't think they will. I think that
they did last year.
Ted Lasso season 2 to me was an improvement. I thought I liked it or just as much as the first season. I thought it was well done. I thought that people were still riding on the high. And I
Yeah.
think that what season 2 did as far as introducing the themes of mental health and Dr. Sharon and everything that she represented, I thought season 2 had a lot of merits. And also just the characters, we got to really get to know them. I think what hurt season 3, which is what hurt Arrested Development season 4, is the not capping the time limits.
So
Having
long.
these episodes
Dreadful.
run long, you lose something. You lose the spontaneity of these shows because these beats just mellow about, and I think that really hurt Ted Lasso. I understand that streaming allows this, and it could be more freeing, but I think there's just something about it. I was, Only Murders in the Building having those like cuts to black that would act as like commercial breaks if this was on
Poker
basically
Face does it too. Yeah.
Poker Face. Like, I know it's stupid because it's streaming, but I do think
I
your
like it.
brain can reset, and like it's as far as the pace of the show, it works. And so there's an art to pacing on television, and I think Ted
Mhm.
Lasso lost it. Even if you did enjoy it, I'm halfway through when I stopped because life is busy, and I was enjoying the
Yeah.
season, but I still felt that like come on, like guys, like let's just
Yeah.
punch this up. Like I feel like this is the director's cut that we need to pare down like 10 minutes up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think Abbott Elementary has grown its popularity over the
Second
years.
season, I think, was better than the first.
I think yes, Quinta Brunson, I think, has gotten more confident, has gotten
Yeah.
really understands these characters. I think the fact that I think everybody of the main six that we started with will be nominated also shows how
Maybe.
strong this show is. I mean, I definitely
Talk about it. There's limited. This is the one of all the categories where the acting categories are more limited. There's 5 and 7 instead of 6
at
and 8.
least I think five. I think the one I think the one to get in this year that didn't get in last year that I think will definitely get in is Lisa Ann Walter. I would be shocked
Yes.
if it doesn't get in at this point.
I hope so, but we'll get to that. I'm worried. But yes, I do think
Okay.
Abbott is winning. Ted Lasso, sadly not. Not sadly not. Thankfully not. Oh my goodness.
Be nice. Be nice.
I was never a huge fan of the show in the first place,
I
and this
know.
past season was just kind of torture.
You just hate optimism and joy.
I do. I love the gritty stuff, like the bear, which honestly, I'm gonna put the bear
Barbie.
at, and Barbie. I love Barbie is very gritty, mind you. Uh, the bear, I think, will be helped by its second season currently airing during the voting period. Actually, like
That's a
during the
strategy.
last few days of the voting period. Incredible second season, even better than the first. I adored it. I binged it so fast. It's amazing. It is everything to me, honestly.
Tell me how
If
you
I
find the time for all this.
I just don't sleep is how I find the time for it,
I need sleep.
sleep deprivation. Uh yeah, I just love the bear. I don't think it'll win, but I do think there's a future if Abbott Elementary due to the writer's strike, isn't around in time for the third season for next year, I think there's a world where The Bear season two does a very good in this category because we won't have Ted Lasso either.
I
So
mean, I don't see a world where Abbott Elementary can't even get like a half season out. Like what
we'll
I'm
see.
interested like how many episodes you need to qualify for a season, but like we're definitely gonna have something by December at the very latest.
I
It's
don't
either
know. There are people saying that the strike could go until like October or November.
yeah, December. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but I don't know if it's that fast of a turnaround.
well, no, what I'm saying, like, I don't think we go into a world where like it's May 2024 and Emmy's eligibility is about to close, and we
No,
have not gotten a single episode of Abbott Elementary season 3.
but
So I
it might not be done by the cutoff, is what I'm saying. So it might then
we'll
roll
see.
into the
That's the
next.
question: is do they end up doing like because season one was like 13 episodes. It was a shorter
Hmm.
season than season two, which is almost double the episodes. So like
Yeah,
that's going to be the question: is will Abbott Elementary just make a short season so that they can compete, or will they just do a Game of Thrones and skip out a year? And
I
then
think
yeah,
they can
the
skip
bear can
out a
come
year.
through. I do think the bear is
Axe is
very,
skipping
very
out a
strong.
year.
I think the bear, which helps those 30 minutes, Abbott Elementary 22
Yeah,
minutes. I think people it's streaming seems this
it's concise.
wonderful promising thing, but people like what they like, and the concision of these two shows I think is really helping, and it's distinguishing the comedy series from the drama series very well.
Yeah, I think the bear is. You could put it in like White Lotus or like Succession. You could put it in drama or comedy, especially the
Very
second season. There's I don't know about Barry. We'll talk about that in a second. Uh, especially the second season, but also in the first season. There's a lot of funny moments, especially with Richie, and all of Ao Edebiri's line deliveries are comedic in my opinion. She's incredible. So those are the clear top three. Then Only Murders in the Building, which I think will get in there.
happened so long ago.
It does. I do think
When
it'll
did that
be.
season came out?
I think it came out like that last
Last
summer.
summer.
So yeah,
Oh
so
yeah,
they're
because
doing the
that had
same.
the
Yeah,
benefit that did the Ted Lasso thing of like release season two during season one voting.
during voting.
Okay,
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
this now.
They'll have season three with Meryl Streep in August or something. But I will have to see how it does nomination wise. I do think it'll be a bit of a less good performance for the second season than it was for the first. But I think it'll still get in here. Uh,
I think I think
Barry.
they're hoping to get Selena Gomez in. I think their
We'll
hope is that
talk
they
about
can
that.
get
I don't
all
know.
three
I
in.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Barry, which is not really there are some funny moments, but that's this past season quite dark,
Join the
quite
dark side, have you?
quite dark.
When I've been
Um,
beating the drum for like years. Like Barry, go to drama.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm fine with being in comedy because it is short. It seems really what they do to qualify in categories is more runtime rather than tone, I guess. But yeah, they'll still get in here. Divisive last season. At least for the final episode, I liked all of it, and then the final episode I was a little iffy on, but it'll still get nominated. Same thing with Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, another final season. I don't think it's huge, but I think it will
I
still
think
get
it was.
nominated.
I think Maisel was better. Had a better
Oh, then
reception
Barry. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Barry. So I think, and I think the
Totally.
fact that because I don't think Barry never won this category, did he?
I think it might have for one of the seasons. I know Bill Hader and Henry
Bill Hader
Winkler
won
both won.
twice, right?
I think it won once for the
Won
second season,
once,
maybe. Yeah,
maybe. Okay, I'll look that up. But I think Maisel definitely gets in.
definitely, definitely. Then I've got Shrinking from Apple TV, which is the better optimistic. See, I like some optimism. The better optimistic show than Ted Lasso. It's well made. I think I'll get in there. Last spot, I am What We Do in the Shadows has been a surprise. It's gotten in every season, but I don't think it'll get in this season. I'm gonna go with Poker Face, which I recently just finished. Um, I really liked it. The only thing I worry about is Peacock and the exposure to it, but I think there's been enough that it'll get it. So that's my
Yeah, I
eight.
mean, I think you look at Schitt's Creek, which of course had the benefit of being on Netflix, but that was Pop Buzz TV.
Hmm.
So I think it's more like the talent behind it. You know, you have Ryan Johnson. You know, I think that is a name that does
It
get
is
people to check it out. Natasha Lyonne, who I think was nominated for Russian Doll, maybe,
probably.
maybe
I
not.
don't
Maybe
know.
I'm conflating with the Golden Globes, or maybe I'm just inventing this. But
Yeah.
anyway, I agree. I think that it has a better chance. Because I also think like What We Do in the Shadows in a way, it was always like that or Reservation Dogs, and it was just like,
Kind of
well,
lucked out with the last spot the past few years.
yeah. So I think that, now it's another
A
show's
little more
chance that
competitive. Yeah.
that sneak in. Also Barry never won Outstanding Comedy Series.
Ah,
It
sad.
was it lost season three
But
to Ted
one
Lasso
acting
season
stuff.
two. It lost season two to Fleabag season two.
Uh,
And it lost season one to Marvelous Mrs. Maisel season one.
hmm. And they're both ending the same year. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then neither of them will win. Um, yeah. And then other contenders Wednesday, I doubt it. Uh, I would say I don't it probably won't happen, but jury duty has had a lot of buzz lately. So I would say look out for it. Look out for it. I think it's
Uh,
highly watched.
duly noted.
Yes. And that's really it in terms of other contenders. Comedy actress. We've got 5 slots here, people. Tragic stuff. Apparently,
Only five?
only 5 because you have to.
What was going on?
It's
Jesus.
based on
Okay.
how many people submit in the category. And this year, like you have to hit a certain number. I think like for lead actor and actress, it was like somewhere in the 100s, and then supporting was somewhere in the 200s. And they were like each like off by like a few submissions in order to get 6 and 8 spots. So tragically, we're stuck with 5 in lead and 7 in supporting. So we'll have to make some tragic cuts here. But number one, obviously, Quinta Brunson. I don't know if she'll end up winning, but right now she's just the safest bet for a nomination, I feel like.
Yes, I agree with that
Yeah.
logic.
Rachel Brosnahan for the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is my number 2, who I could see winning. Final shot, our Lois Lane, apparently. Um,
Hot off the presses.
hot off the
The
presses.
vehicle.
She's our Lois
I
Lane. Yep, there
mean,
we
she
go.
won this category.
She has one.
Won.
Yeah,
So
it's
like
just the final season and good
it
performance.
could be a Claire Foy situation where like nobody was really like I think totally like predicting Claire Foy. Like it wasn't like a surefire bet that she would win, but I think there was just such because I do think Kerry Russell, like more people thought it would just be the two Americans going out.
Yeah.
Um, as in the Americans, not like
Yeah, not the
not the British. But
yes.
and then they just gave it to Claire Foy because they just loved the show and it was their last chance and they really respected her tenure in the show. And they could
Mhm.
do that with Rachel Brosnahan, especially doesn't hurt to be,
Does
major
not.
casting news, getting your name back out there makes it feel like, oh, let's honor her one last time. She's on Broadway right now, so
Yeah.
things are looking up for Rachel
Yeah.
Brosnahan.
Yeah. Agreed. Then I'm gonna say, this is tricky. I'll say Jenna Ortega for Wednesday. I don't think the show will really get anything else, but she's clearly the face and breakout star of it, so I think she'll still get in. Then I'll say Christina Applegate for Dead to Me, but I have a feeling that she could end up missing when there's only 5 spots here, because who's seen that show? I know that
I
there's a narrative. Oh, that one of 3 people who's seen it is here
excuse
with
me.
me. um,
It has its fans.
it does. I just haven't heard about it. I
Well,
think
it's
there's not a
also
ton of
an
buzz.
actual, it's Netflix, it's an actual 30-minute comedy, and it doesn't
Hmm.
have the sort of gravity in its craft that these other shows have.
Yeah.
But I do think Christina Applegate's story, as far as what she had to overcome to make the show,
Hmm.
really resonates. She is television comedy royalty. And
Hmm.
I do think that, listen, she's said as much. I think this is the last time that she's going to be in this environment. You know,
Yeah.
I could see a
Yeah.
lot of sympathy going her
I
way.
think it'll.
The sympathy she deserves. I think she should be in contention to win this thing. I love this final season. I thought she was brilliant. I would give her the same way we were talking about in drama with Megan Fahey.
Megan Thee.
I would give her this award hands down. Like I thought it was
Okay.
brilliant. Her and Linda Cardellini
I'll take
combined.
your word for it, and I'll keep her in there at number 4. The number 5, I'll have Natasha Leone for Poker Face. That's a pretty clear 5 to me. I think Selena Gomez will still end up missing, especially with less spots. I mean, she couldn't get in with 6 spots last year. Don't think she's going to do it with 5 this year. And then Elle Fanning for The Great, who
Okay.
did get in last year. I don't know. I think it's very possible. She'd be very close. She'd be my number 6 if there were 6 spots. I think she'd get in there. But I will say no right now. But yeah.
Yeah, I think people are losing interest in the great.
Yeah, yeah. But she is great in it. So
She's great.
she's great in The Great, along with the guy who just lost out to Superman. Sad for him. Um,
He'll be fine.
he will be fine. Comedy actor, another 5 spots here. Number 1, Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. I see lots of people still saying it's going to be Jason Sudeikis for Ted Lasso. No, it won't be, especially with The Bear season 2 airing at the same time. Like, he's incredible in the show. He's the star of the show. He is, and yeah, just gonna
I mean,
happen.
listen, given how season 3 ends, which I've heard how it ends,
Season 2 or 3? There aren't three
of
seasons of The Bear.
Ted Lasso,
Oh, Ted Lasso. Okay, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he won, just
Mhm.
because it's like the final call,
It
and I
is. It's
think his
his.
character is
He's
beloved.
not gonna show up again. Yeah.
But I don't think, I think the Bear is a phenom, and Jeremy Allen White is the Bear,
Jeremy Allen White has
and he has
won
the
the
Golden Globe, you know, so
Winter
far,
Awards as much as
you
those
know.
count for the Emmys. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So I think he's gonna win. Spoiler alert, what Anthony was talking about. Ted Lasso does die in the final episode of Ted Lasso. Quite a dark, gritty episode. No, I'm
stop
joking.
it, stop it.
Uh, I won't say anything for Barry, but speaking of Bill Hader for Barry, I think he'll also be nominated. You can connect the lines there if you've seen the Barry finale. Uh, and then there's only 5 spots here, so I guess I'll just go with both the only murders in the buildings boys, Steve Martin and Martin Short.
We'll always get
Uh,
him.
yeah, I could. One of them could miss. If one of them missed, which one do you
No,
think would miss?
I
Which
don't
one would
think one
miss?
ever misses.
But
They
if
come
one
with a
does, if
package
only
deal.
one gets in there,
They're like if you cast like a pair of twins, like tap
no,
dancing twins
I
when they're like
agree.
5 years old. You don't take one without the
But
other.
who's got the advantage over? I think Martin Short has a little more of an advantage.
Martin Short should have the advantage, but I think Steve Martin does because he's the bigger name. But it
It's
doesn't
true.
matter. They're both getting in. There's
They are.
no where one doesn't. I think people just have to write both of them, like, and then
Mhm.
done.
Yeah,
Move
that's
on.
true. Once you write one down, yeah,
How can you not write
agreed.
the other?
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Poor,
if
poor
her name
Jason
was
Segel and
Selena
Shocking
Martin or
Loomis.
Martin Gomez, then maybe she would get in because that
I
would
don't.
just be like
I
you have
don't
to
think.
nominate all the Martins.
I don't think so. But yeah, and Jason Segel's the clear number 6 here. Who, if there were 6 spots, he'd be in there, but sadly not. Donald Glover for Atlanta has always gotten in there, but this past few seasons mixed. So that's a clear number 5 or 5 people there. Comedy supporting actress, 7 spots here. This is the saddest one of them all in terms of having to make cuts. It's very sad. Number 1, I think, is still clearly Charlie Ralph for Abbott Elementary. I think she's going to repeat. She's going to do it again. I honestly think her performance in the second season was better than the first. I mean, she got more to do, more episodes, but incredible stuff. Number 2, I have Ayo Edebiri for The Bear.
I think she's
Also,
your number one.
you think she's winning? I would love to see that.
I
If
think
the Abbott
Shirley
people
Ralph is
split
the Hannah
votes.
Waddingham. It's that we think she's going to win the second round two because she won round one and she was, you know, a lovely winner. I think
Mhm.
those two speeches from both of them in this category, Waddingham
Yeah,
and Ralph, have been like the best speeches at award shows like in the past couple of years. So like I understand why, but I don't know. I feel like Io Biri like is having a moment right now, and she is the bear as much as it is Jeremy Allen
it's
White.
a co-lead show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
So
incredible in this past season. And if there's anything that makes it a comedy, it's her. She'll also be in Bottoms coming out this summer. She'll have a very big year overall.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Oh, she's in that? Okay.
She's April O'Neil.
Get your bag, Ayo.
Yeah,
Oh, she's April O'Neil. Okay,
I think
cool.
so. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know how much
Um,
that'll help our Emmy chances, but yeah,
but
just saying.
I don't know. I just feel like, especially because I think she's following in the footsteps of Zendaya as far as awarding people of color, and especially Black women who have not been given these type of roles before. Like I feel like
Mhm.
we didn't see like the way that like Jennifer Lawrence is following in the Julia Roberts or Sandra Bullock trajectory. Like
Mhm.
Iota Edebiri and Zendaya really don't have that type of person that they're modeling their career after. I mean, Halle Berry, maybe. Like that's really it. And I feel like that's
No.
what makes them so exciting and so important is that they are striving new creative goals. And the bear and her character are unlike most things we see on television. That's also why Abbott is so important because of the gaze,
Yeah,
where we're directing our story, where the camera is spotlighting. And so I don't know. I feel like, especially in
I
comedy,
could see it.
they like to keep it fresh unless your name is Julia Louis Dreyfus. So
Yeah.
go
I
that way.
I could very much see it. That's why she's my number 2 right now. I just do think there's something about Cheryl. I mean, they're both very charismatic. Ayo's also a very charismatic individual, but there's something about Cheryl Lee Ralph. But then, yeah, number 3, Janelle James for Abbott Elementary. Hopefully, she'll eventually win for the show. She's incredible on it, one of the comedic standouts. But
I think
I,
she's going to be the Jesse Tyler Ferguson or
yeah, once they pick someone
the
from like a comedy ensemble, they usually stick with that person. So I think
Sofia Vergara. of,
Yeah.
of the
It'll
show.
just be Cheryl if someone from Abbott keeps winning in this category. Then I have Hannah Waddingham for Ted Lasso. I just don't think Ted Lasso is really going to win anything this year. Uh, then I
You
have
never
Alex
count out
Borstein.
Brett Goldstein, but that's really it.
I'm counting them out. We'll get to it in a second. I'm counting them out. Alex Borstein for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's gotten in pretty much every season. She's got a pretty big and important role in the final season. Good performance. I think she'll still get in there. Uh, mm, that's 5 spots, right? I have 2 left. Yeah. I'm gonna kick out Juno Temple. I don't think this past season, especially, she hasn't had a lot. Her whole storyline and stuff with her character, not very good.
Hey,
Um,
hey, it worked out the last time on the morning show when they kind of wrote a character into a hole and
yeah,
just decided to have her come out.
I guess I don't think that's gonna work out this time. So then I'll say Lisa Ann Walter for Abbott Elementary. I'm worried for her getting in there, but she got more to do in the second season. And she's as much of a standout as the other 2 Abbott ladies we mentioned.
For
So I think she's gonna
sure.
get it.
The book
Um,
episode, I can't.
yeah, yeah. She deserves it, and if she doesn't get in, there will be riots. And then my final spot, another person who I would riot for, Sarah Goldberg for Barry. Incredible. Didn't get in last season,
You got to drop this one.
but
You do it every year.
no, no. Well, we've
Sorry,
only done this
not
for
gonna
2
happen.
years, so I've only done it twice. It's not like
Well,
it's been
we've
happening
done it
forever.
both times, and this second time is
This is the
second verse,
last time
same
I
as the
can.
first.
Last time I can do it, so I'm gonna go
All right,
down with the ship.
it's fine.
Incredible performance. I think maybe the best performance of this entire season. Her or Anthony Kerrigan. I have faith that she's gonna get in. I actually don't have faith, but I'm doing it anyways. I mean, who would you have instead? Juno Temple?
I mean, she's gotten in before. She got in for both previous seasons. Sarah Goldberg
I
has
could see
not.
Jessica Williams for Shrinking too, maybe.
Yeah, I think both of them are above. They just don't like this character, and I don't think she has the platform to get her there. I don't like this is the logic that we see with like Better Call Saul. It's like, well, they
She's
have
the
to.
most likable character on that show. Like the other people
Yeah,
are
but that's not why
literal
people like Barry,
murderers.
apparently. You know, the people who are
Yeah.
nominating Barry don't like likable characters. That's
I mean,
why they're
she's been
spoiled.
nominated before though. She just missed one time.
Yeah,
So
but it's this one time with a lot of the same people. So you would have to
yeah.
prove that one of these other people are
I kicked
had
her
the
out, Juno
worst season.
Temple. That's how I did it.
We have to see if the Ted Lasso, if first off, if there is a backlash, if there is this sort of
I
consensus
just
that
don't think it's going to have as
wasn't
much
good.
love.
Much love with wins versus much love with nominations are completely different things. It could get
Yeah,
nominated because it could be at the bottom instead of the top, but I
I
don't.
think it'll miss
It
nomination wise
wasn't
too.
that much of a drop off. You know, it I think it was just not as not as consistent as
It's
seasons one
pretty
and
bad.
two, but like it was. I mean, people still watched it. I think people still enjoyed it for the most part, and I think they definitely like the actors. The directing and writing may not come as through as much as the previous seasons, but they never fault the actors for that. I don't know. I would definitely probably definitely probably put Juno Temple in above Sarah Goldberg.
I see. I see. Well, we shall see. I'm sticking by you, Sarah, till the end. Um, Comedy supporting actor number 1, Harrison Ford for Shrinking.
Woo, woo.
Gonna happen.
Very
Uh,
happy for him.
Standout of the show.
It's going to be
Uh,
the speech that makes everybody cry, by the way.
yeah, he's never even been nominated for an Emmy. He's gonna win an Emmy. I mean, everyone's gonna vote for Harrison Ford. I mean, come on. Also, Indiana Jones. It just makes sense. There's no if there were more strong competition, like if the final Ted Lasso season was like incredible and Brett Goldstein was incredible in it, maybe.
Is this even the
But
final Ted Lasso season? That's been the major problem of this
yeah,
season. Is
it's
the
definitely not the final
non-middle.
thing with him in it. I don't
Yeah,
think. So my number 2 is Tyler James Williams for Abbott Elementary. I think
he could
it's
win. He
he
could
could
win.
win. He is very underrated. He's the straight man of the show, but his reaction shots are obviously the best of them all. Then I do have Brett Goldstein for Ted Lasso. And then Henry Winkler and Anthony Kerrigan for Barry. Anthony Kerrigan, incredible work this past season. He's got to get in there, but he should be in contention to win, but he isn't. Then got 2 spots left. I'll say Tony Shalhoub for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel again one last time, and
Final roll call.
I'll say Eben Moss Bachrach for The Bear. I think if they've seen episode 7 of season 2 of The Bear, which they probably didn't because voting ended on Monday, but if they binged it from Thursday to Monday and they saw that episode,
Hey,
there's no world where you don't vote for
if
him.
I don't have the time, Emmy voters don't have the time.
Some of them might have the time.
Okay. I mean, maybe they're striking. Maybe they're watching it on the picket line.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna put him in there. He's incredible in the show. What do you have Chris Perfetti instead from Abbott?
I don't know. It's like, does he have an episode like that? Like the way that Lisa Ann
No,
Walter
I don't think he does.
the episode that is
He
all
has
about
the
her.
sock puppet episode. That's the only one I'm remembering right now. Or
Such
he's
a great
against the
time.
sock puppets. Yeah.
Um, yeah, maybe it takes another season to get him because
I
I
think
do
it
think
might
that's
take
what
another
happened.
season.
Like Quinta Brunson seems to like she said that I want to get Cheryl Lee Ralph an Emmy, and then I
She
think
did it.
once she did, she's like, okay, well now I want to get Lisa Ann Walter like a nomination, and I think
Hmm.
she will. So like I feel like
Yeah.
maybe that's for season 3
Step
objective.
by step. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we eventually, I forget his name. What is his name? The actor who plays the janitor eventually needs to be nominated.
That'll be
What
the
is his
final
name?
season.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
hope I hope
that's the
so.
final season gift. Like the way
Yes,
that
that would be
Gwendolyn
lovely.
Christie was the gift for season 8 of Game of Thrones, he'll be the gift for the final season of Abbott Elementary.
Yes. Yeah, and other contenders, Phil Dunster did have a standout performance in the not good final season of Ted Lasso, so maybe Chris Perfetti, which we mentioned. Stephen Root, Great and Barry, not as big of a role this season. James Marsden for jury duty. Maybe.
He could. I think he could. He could have a very good
He
shot.
could. He could. He's got a shot for sure. For sure. And then the comedy guest categories, I've got Taraji P. Henson, Abbott Elementary, Quinta Brunson, Saturday Night Live, uh, Judith Light for Poker Face, really good. Sherry Jones for Poker Face, why not? I've got it in series and actress. Then I'll do Ayoa Dabiri for Abbott Elementary, and should I have Jane Lynch for Only Murders in the Building?
Didn't she win this category last year?
She did, but she didn't have as much to do. Shirley MacLaine is much higher in the odds.
You know,
I'll go with the odds. I'll say Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley MacLaine, Oscar winner. You know,
Oscar winner. True. And Hong Chow for Poker Face and Stephanie Shu should be in there. That category should all be Poker Face and Abbott.
sure it should all be the bear. I can take the words out of your mouth.
And next year should all be the Bear. Speaking of the Bear, comedy guest actor John Bernthal should be nominated here, but he won't be. Nathan Lane, Steve Martin Short for Saturday Night Live, Pedro Pascal for Saturday Night Live. This is like the only place I think SNL will get nominations. Leslie Odom Jr. for Abbott Elementary, Adrian Brody for Poker Face, and why not John Bernthal for the Bear?
Poker face.
I'm doing it. John Bernthal for the Bear, and yes, Poker Face, the Lady Gaga song. And then writing and directing, we touched on it last time in terms of winning. Directing, I don't think Bill Hader will ever win, sadly, for Barry. Sad stuff. I think directing will
He's
go to the
in
Bear.
the wrong category.
Well, he
That
wouldn't win in drama either. Succession would stomp
he
on him.
has a better
Or
shot. He
Last
had a
of
better
Us.
shot in the previous years of winning. Listen, if Jason Bateman could win for Ozark, I think Bill Hader could have won for Barry. Just
Well,
saying.
he had just, yeah, he's won actor twice, but yeah, he needs to win for director.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
so I
want
think,
if that was the priority. I don't think it was. I think he wanted
no, it
to
wasn't.
after SNL.
Recognized as a director.
No, I think after SNL he wanted to win comedy actor. I think it's a major deal
I think these
when
past
you
few
win
seasons,
that
he's
category.
wanted to be recognized more as a director than an actor.
These
He
past couple
directed this
seasons, but
entire season
the objective of Barry was to solidify him as like this
for
unconventional.
the first season or two. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But they didn't
So
orange is the new black it. They could have swapped, you know. They could have played around with it as I
they
think
could have. They could
but
have. He does have a smaller role in the final season, because he's directing all of it. Uh, I think the Bear episode, which is like the one shotter, will probably win directing. And I think writing will probably be Abbott Elementary.
yeah, makes sense.
It does. Any final thoughts on the comedy stuff as we prepare for the Bear season 2 sweeping next year?
Yeah, I mean I'm always interested to see if the season 2 bump will help season 1 perform with the bear.
I hope so.
I really hope Lisa Ann Walter gets in there. That's kind of
Mhm.
my real hope. And that I would love to see something for Dead to Me. If that's Christina Applegate, which I think is more likely, if that's a Linda Cardellini, if that's both of
Not with
them,
5 spots.
you know, I can dream,
You
but
can.
I hope one of them gets in. So yeah. And I do hope that Jenna Ortega gets in. I think that what she was
I
able to
think
do
she
in
will.
the character, it to me, it's funny because these are both Tim Burton actors. Um, but it reminded me a lot of what Johnny Depp was able to do with that first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and just really
Hmm.
like surprise people with like, oh, I took this character that could have just really pigeonholed me and like blew it up to something that I think this like what Wednesday became was like every actor's dream. Like, I'm gonna take this thing that
Yeah.
everybody knows, but I'm gonna completely make it my own, and I'm going to basically call the shots about what this show is. And everybody will listen to me, and everybody loved it. Like,
And then become one of the
that's
biggest young stars on the planet.
yeah,
Just like
that's
that.
very appealing. And I think also for an actress, I think it's even harder for her to
Mm,
manage that, and she did. And I it's very impressive. So
it is.
I'm hoping for her to get into, and I think she will.
Yes. I agree with most of your stuff, Lisa and Walter. And I just hope the bear. I mean, if it doesn't win everything this year, I want Abbott to win some stuff this year. Next year, I'm rooting because I think season two is better than season one. I'm rooting
Do
for it.
real quick, do we think there's any chance that Wednesday gets into best comedy series? Because I do think that it maybe occupies the
Eh,
place that like Stranger Things does, where we are like it's very genre-y. We
I think
don't
it's
know
the
if
only
it's
thing
getting in, but
Netflix
just
really
because of the
has here.
popularity, it gets in.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix doesn't have much to push here. I don't think popularity influences the Emmys a ton. I think a little bit, but like I mean, the popular Midwestern shows of Yellowstone in 1923 didn't get anything.
But I think
Um,
it's diff.
it's a different kind
I
of
don't know.
popularity.
I think that with
It's more of a
Wednesday, like
coast popularity.
it was the most watched show on Netflix. Like I feel like
It was
that type of show, like the same way that
by a
we
lot
like,
of children, though.
yeah, but I mean, listen, if you're a hit, you're a hit. It doesn't,
Yeah,
it doesn't get
I think
quantified.
I think
Like the way
they'll.
that The Mandalorian kind of just surprise drama series. Like nobody, I think, was really predicting it. Like it
I
wasn't
think that was pretty predicted because it was the COVID years.
not the first year, 2019 to
Well,
20.
by the time the Emmys came around,
Yeah, that's right. Whoosh. But
yeah,
still, I still think that like man, like if when it Mandalorian debuted in 2019, I don't think people were saying that will be a best drama series nominee. I think it kind of was like, oh, okay.
maybe
But
I don't
you
know.
were like, oh, I see it. I don't know. I think Wednesday, like, because of how popular it is, I wouldn't discount it getting sneaking in
No,
like whatever
it's
bottom slot.
possible. It's possible. I think the way they're gonna be like, oh, I want to reward Wednesday will be nominating Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's that. Those are our comedy predictions. Comment your comedy predictions down below. Very funny stuff going on here. Lots of
I
hilarious
mean, not
shows.
really. There's a lot of pain and suffering and violence and death,
Comedy is pain. Comedy is suffering.
I guess.
Um, yeah. So we didn't get around to talking about limited series, which is an absolute shit show in most categories. So I'm just gonna quickly give you my thoughts. We were originally going to separate them out by the different categories, comedy, drama, limited, but we're not going to do that anymore. This is one big final episode. So my quick thoughts on the limited series categories. In limited series, I have Beef. I've got Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. I've got Blackbird. Those three seem pretty secure to me. Then I run into trouble. The other contenders are Fleischman is in Trouble, Daisy Jones, and The Six, and Love and Death, I think, are the main ones who have a shot of getting in there. There's only 5 spots, so there's only 2 spots left. I'm gonna put in Daisy Jones in The Six. I think that was a pretty big cultural hit. And then for my last spot, I'm gonna stick with Love and Death instead of Fleischman is in Trouble. I'm gonna do that. Probably won't work out for me, but I'm gonna do that. So then TV movie quickly. This is easy. Everyone has the same 5, I'm pretty sure. Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, Prey, Fire Island, Reality, Dolly Parton's Mountain Magic, Christmas. They love them some Dolly Parton. So pretty easy there. Then in movie limited actor, I've got Stephen Yeun for Beef. I've got Evan Peters for Jeffrey Dahmer Monster. I've got Taron Egerton for Blackbird. I've got Daniel Radcliffe. Actually, I'm gonna hold on to Daniel Radcliffe. So Stephen Yeun, Evan Peters, Taron Egerton, Michael Shannon, I think for George and Tammy. God, I'm not confident about this. Um, Steve Carell for The Patient, and then I'll say um Daniel Radcliffe. I worry about the TV movie thing. they don't really go for TV movies and acting or just categories that aren't TV movie in general. So I'm worried about it, but there's an open spot there, and I think it'll probably be his. Uh, movie limited actress. I have Jessica Chastain, George and Tammy, Ali Wong, Beef, Elizabeth Olsen, Love and Death. I'm confident in those. Three more spots left. Do I go with some passion picks? I'm gonna say Riley Keough since I have Daisy Jones in for series. I'm gonna say Rachel Weisz for Dead Ringers. I feel I know people aren't super confident in that. It's a pretty tour de force performance. She's playing two twins, very different people. It's great, even if they, yeah. I think she gets in. So I've got one spot left. I'm between Emily Blunt for the English. Who's seen the English? And Dominique Fishback for Swarm. I'm going passion pick. I'm saying Dominique Fishback for Swarm. One of my favorite performances of the entire year. Maybe my favorite single performance of any medium of the entire year. She is incredible on that show. I don't understand how people wouldn't vote for her. So I'm hoping that people are sane and do choose her. Movie Limb supporting actress is I don't know what to do here. The top two I'm confident in, Niecy Nash Betts and Claire Danes. Those people are getting in. I'm gonna say Maria Bello for Beef. I think because that's in series, I should have that at least one supporting actress in here. Um, I'm also gonna say Ashley Park for Beef. So that's four spots. There are three left. God, who is it gonna be? Um, I'll say Michael Learned for Monster. I think she'll probably get in. I'll say Lily Rabe for Love and Death. And then last spot, I'll say Camilla Monroe for Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm not going. I know like Olivia Colman is high in the Gold Derby odds, same with Cherry Jones for shows that like either aren't well reviewed at all or that no one's seen. I don't think the Emmys do like celebrity famous people name checking as much as people think they do. I think they really just go with the shows that they did see. So that's why I'm going with mostly shows that I have in that I'm confident that they've seen that I have in the best limited series category. And last but not least, movie limited supporting actor Paul Walter Hauser is winning for Blackbird. Um, then I've got Richard Jenkins for Monster. Then I've got Donald Gleason for The Patient. Then I've got Young Mazzino for Beef. Then Ray Liotta for Blackbird. So that's four people. I've got three spots left. Or no, that's five people. Okay, I only need to fill two more spots. It's hard filling these spots in limited because there's not a ton of options. Then I'm gonna do. I know lots of people are saying Jesse Plemons for Love and Death. I need a Love and Death actor in here because I do still have it in series. But having seen the series, I think Tom Pelphrey is the much more clear supporting actor standout. I mean, if they only saw like the first two or three episodes, he's Pelfrey's not in it much. He becomes a big part of like the last two or so episodes. So I think he's kind of as much his show in those last few episodes as it is Elizabeth Olsen's, and he's incredible in it. I just worry if they have only seen like the first two or three and they're voting based on that, then Jesse Plemons isn't a lot more of that, and Jesse Plemons then disappears a little bit in the second half. So if they're both voting based on that, I think it would be Jesse Plemons, but I'm gonna have hope and they've seen the whole thing. I'll just go with a risk. I'll say Tom Pelphrey. Justice for him not getting in for Ozark, and then one more spot. Um, I'll go with some Murray Bartlett love and say he gets in for Welcome to Chippendales. I'm not super confident in that, but I just really don't see any other options, to be honest. So that's my seven there. And yeah, I think that's pretty much, yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching. I will have a reaction video out the morning of the Emmys. It's going to be crazy. I hope they actually announce the supporting categories on the actual nomination video. You don't have to look it up online to figure it out, but I doubt that will happen. So looking forward to that. So yeah, you've got that coming up, and then we may do like a live stream that day, just talking about all the nominations and stuff. We'll have to see. At some point within a few days afterwards, we will be talking about all the nominations in a more long form format than a reaction. And besides that, Oscar acting categories predictions coming up soon. Same with directing, screenplay, text, all of that is coming. Barbie and Oppenheimer coming up soon. We will be talking about that. I also have I'm working on some more video essay type material for certain things, certain television shows right now. A certain television show that was quite terrible, and I think you'll probably know what I'm talking about. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Subscribe, like the video. See you in the next one.